people, and welcome back to this week's new video. I hope you are healthy and safe and staying the fuck home at this time. I'm bringing to you a new challenge that I wanted to do inspired by Chandler Ainsley. I wanted to read 7 books over the course of 7 days, so basically a book a day. I'm dressed in a fucking teddy today because I wanted to start off with adult romance books. Adult romance has quickly become one of my favorite genres, and so I decided to listen to 7 audiobooks over the course of 7 days. They range from being super smutty to like sort of smutty, but for the most part they're pretty smutty. I found these all available, like readily available to me through Libby. I will go more into depth of the synopsis once I get into the blog portion. Grey by E.L. James, Long Hard Ride by Lorelei James, Against the Ropes by Sarah Castille, Wrong to Need You by Alisha Rye, Desire Untamed by Pamela Palmer, Neighbor Dearest by Penelope Ward, and the last book was Dark Alpha's Claim by Donna. To hear more about what these books were about and my thoughts about them, keep on watching. I'm now at 52% of Grey by E.L. James, and I have to say I don't know if this is because I read 50 Shades of Grey recently, like 3 or 2 books ago. The conversation is the same because this is in Christian's perspective, and so everything is something that I've heard before. All of these lines like, oh, I don't make love, I fuck hard, and all of these lines I've heard before, and it's just, I feel like I don't have to be listening 100%, which is fine while I'm doing work here, so I can just sort of put it in the back of my mind and I don't feel like I need to be listening to it 100%. I already feel like I'm going to give this the same rating as I did 50 Shades of Grey though, we'll see. That's not near. Alrighty, so I finished Grey by E.L. James. Was this book necessary? Hard fucking no. I gave it a 2.5 just like I did 50 Shades of Grey. If you don't know, Grey is 50 Shades of Grey in Christian's perspective. If you don't know what 50 Shades of Grey is, what the fuck? Are you living under a rock? I don't know, Google that shit, okay? All you need to know is it's Twilight erotic, like adult romance fan fiction. Everything I said before stands. All of the dialogue is the same, and I didn't feel like this book was necessary at all, like I said many times before. If you were going to keep the same exact dialogue like this and keep it in within the same timeline, you could have just kept the original 50 Shades of Grey in dual perspective. The only thing that added to this was flashbacks of Christian's childhood. Otherwise, everything else he was thinking you could tell from just reading 50 Shades of Grey, because you already know he is a possessive, controlling, dominant asshole. There isn't really much to know what's going on in his head. First day, 2.5. We're not starting out great. I feel like I did it to myself though, because I kind of knew that I knew exactly what I was getting into, because it's literally just 50 Shades of Grey in Christian's perspective. I use Libby for my audiobooks, so instead of just scrolling through and randomly picking one, because there are a lot of series on there, I took the liberty of writing everything down that sounded interesting to me. I don't know what these books are about. I'm just going to randomly point to one and we will see. Okay, I'm not looking right? We're gonna go. Oh shit, I need to cross off Grey actually. Getting back to it. Ooh. I have chosen Reckless by Maya Banks, and it's about 2 hours. I'm back because I looked it up on Goodreads and turns out Reckless is a novella, which is why it's so short. So we're back picking a new book, so we're gonna look the other way and we're gonna stop. And it's Long Hard Ride by Lorelei James. I'm about to start chapter 11 and I'm currently 48% of the way through. Now this book is insane. Before I even start to tell you about what this book is about, fuck, it's so raunchy. The raunchiest I've ever read an adult romance book. I didn't see it coming at all from the first line, from the first page probably. It was insane. This book follows This book follows Channing Kincaid, and she is propositioned by a man named Colby, who is a bull rider, to basically be their buckle bunny and come along with them and be sort of their groupie, basically. But the deal is that she needs to entertain his traveling partners of Trevor and Edgar as well. So that's 3 men of Colby, Edgar, and Trevor. And then there's Channing. I haven't yet seen some foursome action, but there's definitely been some threesome action, and it's the first that I've ever read before also, so wow. There are some things that I need to just laugh about and mention. Colby, I believe, is the one who told her this, or I forgot, but there's like this trash ex-boyfriend of hers, of Channing's, and he said, someone said to her, a man, that Channing has the quote-unquote body of a high-priced whore. And the other thing that I wrote down is there's a song that they're about to dance to, and I kid you not, it's called Honky Tonk Badonk Donk, and I looked it up and it's a real song, so we're gonna listen to it right now.
Turn it up some. We play it good and loud. Oh, she pretty good now.
Wait, the title of this song is obviously absurd and hilarious, but I can get with the beat of it, but I just needed to write that down because I thought it was hilarious. Although this book is super raunchy, I'm into it. It's taken me by surprise because of the whole threesome aspect, and it is going in, it's very graphic. It goes into the sex a lot more than I've experienced in reading adult romance books. It definitely is a lot more detailed. So that is another thing. If you're not into smut at all, this is not the book or series for you. But so far it's okay. It's just I don't really know too much about the characters individually. I can tell that Colby and Channing are the one who have the most chemistry so far. She feels the most safe with him is what she says, but I don't know them personally, which I don't know how great that is for being 50%. But smut level on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a fucking 15. I'm at 79%. I'm not sure what rating I'm gonna give this book, but I can tell you it's definitely not gonna be a 5-star read. This is the second time I've seen this, but why are penis heads described as purple? Because I ain't never seen one that's purple. Just saying. Second thing is, the third guy, Edgar, is Portuguese, but he keeps saying like chica as one of his like whatever, and that is not Portuguese. I looked it up, it's not. He says amigo sometimes, which apparently is Portuguese, but chica is not. That's a totally Spanish thing, so I don't know why that's coming up. The author obviously did a lot more research into writing sex scenes and not Portuguese. Like if you're going to create an ethnic character, do your research. The relationship between Colby and Channing is the one that is more intimate. Her and the other two guys they don't have as much one-on-one, and it's very insta love because it's only been 4 days and they're like, oh my god, I'm falling in love with you, and I don't know how I feel about that because they've literally just been having sex. They also had anal sex, which is also a first for me in a romance book, but it just feels very insta love. I mean, it's been 4 days and you haven't even been going on dates or anything. You care about him because you don't want him to die from falling off of the boat. All you've been doing is having sex and you love this guy. I finished Long Hard Ride and I think I'm gonna give it 3 or 3.5 stars. A full star from 2.5 to 3.5. I'm boosting it up because the smut is really, really good. But I didn't feel like I could connect to the characters at all. I mean, I could understand how Channing felt so alone in her family because she had all of these expectations to live up to and she couldn't, and she felt like such an outsider in her family. But I just didn't feel like it was enough to like her as a character. I'll say spoiler here. Her and Colby kind of fell in love right away, and also he proposed to her, and I don't think he told her that he loved her. It happened right away. They were in love after 4 days. They didn't have a real date. He got her, and then suddenly she was like, I love you, and then 8 weeks later they're engaged. It just felt too quick, and I couldn't really enjoy them as people, as characters individually either, or them together. Like, it's different with other romance books, you know, you have that whole build-up, but a lot of this build-up there wasn't any. It was basically just all sex. Now looking. Oh yeah, I just wanted to mention one last thing before I wrap up and actually start a new book. Regarding Long Hard Ride, I did enjoy it, but there were some strange similarities between 50 Shades of Grey / Grey and Colby in Long Hard Ride. He was kind of possessive and dominant in the way that Christian Grey is, and I didn't really like it because there was an agreement between 3 guys and 1 girl, and yet this one guy was becoming a little bit too possessive, and they were all in agreement that they would share her equally. So I feel like he should have made that clear before trying to get all possessive and angry at the other guys. Okay, moving ahead. Oops. We got, oh, I literally just picked Long Hard Ride, so I need to check that off my list. I could have just done like the next one down, it's fine. Against the Ropes by Sarah Castille. This situation's happening because my dumbass decided to just grab everything and not take a plate. I don't want to waste a napkin or a tissue, so. Okay, I am a whopping 4% into the audiobook. It says I have 17 hours left, which I don't know how that's possible because this audiobook is only supposed to be 11 hours long. How does that work? So far, it's okay. It's about Michaela, and she is trying to make some extra cash, and she ends up being like a ticket seller to this underground MMA fight club. MMA is mixed martial arts. She is a paramedic or in training or something, and she wants to be a doctor and help people. And because this is underground, doctors who are there and treat people can actually lose their license because this underground club is not authorized to hold fights. As someone who is trained in this, helping people, healing, whatever, she decides that, you know, she feels like she can help them, and she falls for the club's owner, who is also a fighter, and they call him Torment, which is weird. I'm 4% in, so I don't know his real name. Whether it's in the ring or in the bedroom, he knows exactly when a soft touch is required and when to launch a full-on assault. He always knows just how far he can push, and he's about to tempt Michaela in ways she never imagined. I'm only 4% in, so all I can say is it's okay because I don't know what's going on. I am on track. I have to listen to it on 3 times speed, otherwise I will not finish it for today. I'm only 37% of the way through, but I did have some thoughts that I wanted to share with you. Mac and Torment are technically kind of dating. They're still only like a couple of dates in, but he is giving me a lot of Christian Grey vibes. I don't know what it is about the books that I have been picking, where the books that are just readily available are all really dominant and possessive males. Now, I haven't seen Torment doing anything super problematic in a way that I don't like. I'm sensing a pattern, and it's a lot, because I don't want to be reading about these male protagonists who are all kind of the same back to back. Okay, I'm about to start working out for the night, and I'm waiting on another friend to join into our Netflix party to finally start watching Tiger King. While we're waiting for him, I wanted to let you know that I finished. I gave it 3 stars. I almost wanted to bump it down to a 2.5 because of the last 20%. I just really didn't enjoy it, but I thought about it logically, and you know what, 20% is a pretty small amount of a book, so I decided to be kind and give it 3 stars. It just felt a little bit too, sorry, I'm looking down at my Goodreads about what I wrote so I could talk about it very coherently, but it felt a little bit too similar to 50 Shades of Grey. It was similar in the way that there was a little bit of BDSM, and then the dominant and possessive behavior that they have is just personally was very similar. I did like this book more because it was better written, and I liked Mac and Torment more than I did Anastasia and Christian, but there were a little things that just made this book kind of average for me. That there is a storyline about a debt collector. She has some student debt and she owes a lot of money, which is fine, and I felt like that could have been really interesting, except for the fact that it sort of fell through. There was a lot of buildup about who the debt collector was because he was getting very threatening, which is illegal, and it was also 2013 when I feel like everything would be electronic, and this guy is literally calling her. Male, I understand, but he's calling her like every week being like, where the fuck is my money, which didn't feel really believable. I did enjoy the whole EMT background that Mac had, and how she was going to be this unofficial doctor at these underground MMA fights, and she just happens to be dating an MMA fighter. But then we kind of found out about their backgrounds, stuff that will make us understand why the way that they are, and I did not like those backgrounds, and I didn't like the reveal of them, and the ending just felt a little bit too cheesy. Like the last 20%, a side plot lines that I didn't feel like were necessary. What's it called? The conflict that they have just wasn't believable to me, and it was just kind of stupid and silly, and that's why it was just okay for me. I did pick out a book already. I'm not going to randomly choose it because one of my goals for 2020 was to read more POC authors. I've been falling behind, and part of the reason might be because a lot of the books that are readily available to me are by white authors or ones that I just happen to be gravitating towards, but I have the ability to choose that, to choose to read POC authors, and so that's what I'm doing. And I decided I'm going to read Wrong to Need You by Alisha Ray, which is the second book in the Forbidden Hearts series. I know it's the second book, but it is a author that I have been wanting to read, and also it is a companion series, so I think it's okay if I read the second one first. I had to go through my entire list that I made in my journal, and all the authors were white, literally except for Alisha Ray. I googled them and it was all white people, so I need to figure myself the fuck out and actually actively look for POC authors to read. If you have any recommendations, please leave them down in the comments below. I literally didn't even get into the audiobook yet the narrator was introducing himself and shit. And first of all, booktube did me dirty. I did this author dirty. Booktube did this author dirty. Everyone be saying Alisha Ray, but it's Alisha Rai. Last night we got 3 episodes into Tiger King and we're actually gonna watch the rest tonight. I didn't explain to you guys at all what Wrong to Need You by Alisha Rai is about. Sadia is a widow and she was best friends with Jackson when they were kids, and Jackson was actually falsely accused of a crime and he left the town. Although he didn't do it, nobody believed it. The public already hated him for it. 10 years later he comes back. He is richer. He's like successful chef. Sadia and him always had feelings for each other when they were younger, but then Jackson's brother ended up being the one who started to date her first, and so there were these unresolved feelings between them. Sadia's cafe needs a new chef and that is exactly what Jackson does, so he's like, okay, I'll help out. Unlike the other 3 books that I read, Sadia actually knows what she wants in her sex life. She's also bisexual and a single hardworking mother. I believe she's Pakistani. And then Jackson's family, they have a huge empire with this other family in the town, and he is the one that's Japanese and Hawaiian. I'm not really sure because all I heard was Sadia telling her son that he is part Japanese, part Hawaiian, and part Pakistani. I don't know how I feel about this book. It's really good. I'm definitely connect to the characters more than I have with the other ones. I'm really only ever in the same position when I talk to y'all, but last night I obviously finished Alisha Rai's Wrong to Need You. I gave this book a 3.5 stars. It really did feel like a forbidden romance because it's between Sadia and her brother-in-law, and she also has a child. A couple things about why this book fell kind of flat for me and it was sort of average. One, the chemistry between Sadia and Jackson was okay, but I feel like I would have rooted for them even more if I had learned more about their background. We hear that they are childhood best friends, and yet I feel like if I understood more about them liking each other or even their childhood friendship, I would have liked the idea of them together even more. I did appreciate that Sadia was a complex character and she was a single mother who was struggling to keep her business afloat. She had 2 jobs and she also was the black sheep of her family for a couple of reasons, and she just couldn't get to the expectations of her family. You know, she had a bit of a falling out with them. I liked that she was an actually flawed woman because that's normal. She wasn't just a quote-unquote flawed woman with like a smoking hot body. She sort of just doesn't have everything together, but she actually did. You know, she still had some post-pregnancy fat around her stomach, which is fine and normal, and she also was struggling to keep her business afloat and also had difficulties as a single mother trying to take care of her business, her jobs, but also her son at the same time and try to give them both the same attention. It made her so much more relatable because I know these are fictional books, but they should be written with characters who are more relatable. For Jackson though, he was just a little bit too closed off for me. Like I said before, even though the book is written in dual perspective, I feel like that was his opportunity, or our opportunity as the audience, to get to know him a lot better, and he still felt really closed off, and I don't feel like I came out of this knowing him more. Another thing that I wanted to touch on before I tell you about my next book was they talk about masturbation in this book for Sadia. Now Sadia she has a masturbation scene with a vibrator. I think that was great. Like, not that I was like, oh my god, yes, super love that, my favorite scene, but in the way that even super smutty adult romance books don't really talk about masturbation. One of the books that I read talked about like a rabbit, which I like learned about from Sex and the City. They only talked about the thing, you know, they didn't really have a scene of that, and Sadia did, and they normalized, or Alisha Rai at least tried to normalize that, and masturbation is normal. I feel like it's so much more taboo to talk about women masturbating. They know it's an urge that even women have. I started Alyssa Cole's A Duke by Default, which is I think the 2nd book in the Reluctant Royals, but this is also a companion series, but I had to just stop. I'm not gonna quite DNF it because I'm still within chapter 1, so this was like a little trial, but I am gonna put it down and not fucking read this on audiobook because the narrator is terrible. She is an actress, Karen Chilton, which is fine. I'm fine with her voice, but the accents are terrible. It's definitely not a fucking Scottish accent, but I can't tell if she's trying to do London accent, like a British accent, or a Jamaican one, and that's really annoying. So I need to not listen to her and read the books physically by Alyssa Cole. But that also means that I cannot find any other POC romance authors or adult romance authors. I looked everywhere, and anybody that I search, it is available on Libby, but they're not available right now. I really want to continue this series. I'm having fun with it, especially because I have time, but I think I will have to have those readily prepared as physical books, otherwise I couldn't do this. Okay, we got Desire Untamed by Pamela Palmer. I'm 40% of the way through with Desire Untamed by Pamela Palmer. It's pretty weird because this book has a mix of urban fantasy along with the romance. Kara she thinks she's this regular Jane. She's a preschool teacher. She's taking care of her sick mom. And one day this pack of shape-shifting men arrive to her home and basically abduct her. She is thrown into this world where she realizes that she's not human and she has this inner strength or energy. Lion is the one who actually took her, like he's the one who took charge, and he is trying to prepare her to become the source of power for the Feral Warriors, which is what this group of shape-shifting men are called, and they're all shape-shift into different animals. She is something... Of course, now that I have to talk about it, I don't know what it's called, but she, as a female, has a special power and they're supposed to prepare her for this ritual and she releases this power. I don't really know. When Lion realizes his band of warriors has been infiltrated by an ancient evil, he begins to question whether Kara is quite as innocent as she seems, and he begins to wonder if the woman who's stolen his heart is destined to be his salvation or his doom. A few things about this book is that the attraction seems kind of too quick. Like, Kara is thrown into this world that she has no idea about and she wants to leave and she doesn't want to be there. I mean, she's abducted, she has no means of leaving, they're not going to let her leave. The strange thing is that you pick a mate and you basically kiss all the men there, and then whoever you have this certain reaction to, you're supposed to marry them. But when Lion and Kara touch, they have this weird reaction that there's this drawn energy to them, and she fucking orgasms when she kisses him, which is strange. That better be some magical shit because that is so fake. 1 fucking star. I think that's the lowest rating I've ever given a book that I've completely finished. I usually reserve my 1 stars for books that I have DNF'd, but I could not get into it. Sex During the Strangest Times. What the fuck, Pinky? This person who is in human form but just looks like a flamingo. Also, the main woman, Kara, is fucking abducted and she just quickly absorbs that information and adjusts to her new life with the Feral Warriors so fucking quickly. Also, still orgasms after just being touched. What the fuck is that about? And also, the main guy, Lion, he keeps being like, mine, mine, mine. So very strange. That's all I have to say about this book. Fuck this. Next book. Neighbor Dearest by Penelope Ward. This book is so good. I'm not quite done with Neighbor Dearest because I'm kind of don't want to finish it because it's so good and I don't want it to be over. I didn't tell y'all what this book is about at all. What's her fucking name? Chelsea. Moved into an apartment and she's still sort of broken and hung up over her ex, and her sister suggests to her speaking to a therapist, and she is cleaning stuff in her apartment and has her therapist on speakerphone. Afterwards, she hears them laughing and turns out there's a big ass hole in the wall between her and her neighbor, and he heard everything. They end up striking up a friendship because he heard all about her darkest secrets. She was like, I might as well take advantage of this, and they become really good friends. But then Damien kind of makes it really clear that he can't be with her even though their chemistry, but they can't really deny feelings for each other. I gave it 5 stars. I liked Chelsea and Damien as individuals, even though their friendship was really great, you know, that they had this sexual tension between them, but that they could still hang out and enjoy their time together. I'm looking at my Goodreads review. This book was a little cheesy and the whole like, oh God made you for me type of thing. I didn't really like that. That and the fact that Chelsea, she works at a youth center and she revealed a little bit too much about her personal life to like, what, a 15-year-old, that I thought was a little bit problematic. But yeah, the whole time, of course, I was rooting for Chelsea and Damien, but it was difficult in a different situation because I really wanted them to be friends. They were best friends, even after Damien had made it clear that they wouldn't be together, but I also really wanted them to get together. You could tell that after the conflict, they were finding difficulties to be with each other. There was also a side plot line that I think was good, and this book really took it far. You really see them together for a decent amount of time, even though it's only in like the last 30% of the book, which I think was interesting because a lot of the romance books would close the page after they have like their happy ending after the conflict. Picking the last book. Dark Alpha's Claim by Donna Grant. And it's only 5 hours. I'm getting through this book super quickly. I got all dressed up to take some photos for Instagram, which is why I look like this. Can you, what? Oh my god. I don't know if this is because my period's coming soon or if it's because my skin is reacting badly to some new moisturizer, but this is rude.
Fucking rude.
My skin has been worse during quarantine. Anyway, there's a group of assassins called Reapers assembled by death to kill fae or fairies that are guilty of crimes. Order goes out to kill half humans and half fae. The Reapers are questioning this order from death because they never kill humans, and they figure out that death didn't actually put out this order. And then comes Jordan, who is actually half human, half fae. She doesn't know that she's half fae, and Balin sort of sees her and has an attraction to her and decides that he needs to protect her while trying to figure out who it is that actually put out the order. I'm getting through it really quickly because it's only 5 hours or so I'm already like 70% of the way through it, and I might actually go into the second book after this if I get through it quickly enough because I'm really enjoying it. Balin and Jordan's attraction to each other was sort of immediate. They hooked up pretty quickly. Everything's happening really fast, but it might just feel like it's really quick because the book is pretty short. I think it's only like 150 pages in total. I finished it super quick. It's not even 4 p.m. and I really liked it, and I decided I'm going to give it 4 stars. Wow. I'm going to end the vlog here, but I think for today I'm going to continue with the second book because I enjoyed it that much. A couple things that I liked is that the world, I don't know why I liked this urban fantasy much more than I did the other one, Desire Untamed. The things that I did like was that Death was a woman. They called her she, which I thought was really interesting, and she's like this striking, beautiful woman with lavender eyes. And that in the group of Reapers there are light fae and dark fae to balance it out, so it's not just good fae. I feel like that was saying that it's not always white and black, the world, it's muddled, and so you need to have some sort of balance, which I liked. I don't know what I can say about this. The lust did happen really quickly, but it's pretty cute. We're gonna move on to the second book, but this vlog is already super long, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun doing this. Maybe I can continue this in quarantine. I started off this video reading Grey by E.L. James, Long Hard Ride by Lorelei James, Against the Ropes by Sarah Castille, Wrong to Need You by Alisha Rye, Desire Untamed by Pamela Palmer, Neighbor Dearest by Penelope Ward, Dark Alpha's Claim by Donna Grant. If you have any ideas for genres that you want me to do next in my 7 for 7, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.